and welcome to our weekly talk. And we are very excited. We are again joined with Ali and Ethan, both amazing people. So, uh, who should we start with? Ethan, do you want to start or should I start?
I can start.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
So we live in Germany, and they tried to impose a vaccine mandate in Germany, but they kind of failed to impose it. And very few countries have actually tried to impose it, or a lot of them have only imposed it for very certain professions, such as healthcare workers. But Germany wanted to make this for everyone, but they failed. And this was one of the main goals of the SPD, the party that's in charge here in Germany. And when they came to power, they said that this was something they wanted to do. And they thought that they would have the votes from the other parties, such as the FDP. But in the end, they didn't really get the votes. So their vaccine mandate has also failed. And this puts a lot of mistrust for citizens in Germany with the coronavirus policy. And in case that the COVID situation gets worse in autumn again, like it did last year, there are concerns over whether people will actually follow whatever restrictions they may impose, such as maybe lockdowns or mask mandate or something like that. And yeah, and in Germany, only 76% of the population has 2 doses of the vaccine. And and a lot of other countries in Europe have better vaccination rates than in Germany. So this was also another reason why they wanted to put the vaccine mandate. But it seems that the remaining population in Germany don't want to get the vaccine. So this could be a problem regarding the protection of other citizens and for the people who are vaccinated.
Exactly. And as you pointed out, that the mistrust in the government, as they said that they will make this happen, that's probably one of the reasons why they came into power in the first place. So, I mean, that not going through is shocking because, I mean, there's a lot of people who aren't vaccinated because I know a lot of people who aren't, especially in my football club, and you think that young people should not have a problem with getting vaccinated, but apparently there's a lot of people, which again, raises a lot of questions. I mean, if they should force people to get vaccinated or not. So it's a big topic, yeah.
But to be honest, I feel like passing a vaccine mandate wouldn't have worked in the first place. Like it seemed like a false promise because like there is a large majority that doesn't believe that vaccines even work. And there are people who took the vaccine and believe that taking the vaccine is a freedom of choice rather than something that I should do, right? Because the vaccine isn't like, to them, the vaccine isn't like protecting like people around them, it's only protecting themselves. So it's about themselves and they really do not care. But I feel like trying to push something onto people makes them want to not do it even more. It's like when you like doing something and someone tells you to do it and then you don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And especially, sorry, you can go ahead.
Okay. This kind of causes like a panic and a disbelief like in the system in itself, because A, they didn't pass the vaccine mandate, and B, they pushed for the vaccine mandate like ever since the start. So people are not going to be, they won't want to be vaccinated even more. It's like, why are they pushing it? Like, what does this have to do with it? And then all of the conspiracy theories start like riling up. That's it.
Yeah. And especially in countries like Germany, many European countries where they actually do a voting or like an election for I mean, basically everything, vaccinations and almost everything. And in many countries like India, for example, because I know they didn't have a vote. It's compulsory. You have to get vaccinated if you're eligible. So you also see a big difference because COVID cases are still rising in Germany, whereas in India, everything's almost back to normal. In the biggest state, one of the biggest, most populated states, they removed all masks, all rules. So you didn't even need to wear a mask anymore when you're indoors or anywhere.
And then the fact that if you looked, this is something that we've all seen probably. If you look near Hubbanov, you can see that the testing stall has been removed, which is kind of like in light of the new rules that they put in. Like you need 3 days to enter like restaurants and stuff, but you don't need to wear masks in supermarkets. And but I'm gonna focus on the 3 days just for a second, like with 3G rules, because if they're moving testing facility, like that means the people who aren't vaccinated can't test, which forces them to vaccinate in order to enter the.
And just so people know, 3G is like recovered, tested, or vaccinated in German. You just say it like that. Yeah, and it's also, it also causes a lot of social problems, kind of divides the country into two parts, people who support the vaccine and people who do not. Kind of causes a lot of controversy too, and like a lot of arguments.
And that's what causes the downfall of the country.
Yeah, and protests. We have seen so many protests happen, in Berlin and stuff. And it's kind of funny. Not funny, but, a bit. It's like quite the opposite because people do so many protests and it kind of pushes the infection rate up again. And, it's just increasing COVID. So, and sometimes the German government, I feel, is a bit too scared or to like impose something or like put a law or something. Because Germans, for example, they know the laws and stuff. So they know that just forcing something onto the civilians won't work and it's not allowed, But sometimes you have to.
This is like the beginning of the division of a country. It's the division of a country leads to lasting economic success for a short stint and then recession, and then obviously it falls from grace. We can see this in the US, right? In the US, you have two major political parties, which has divided the country even more, right? But usually this division is a healthy division because we can have political, like correct and civil discussion about our problems and find a solution, right?
Sometimes it's nice to have differences. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. So the split over time just becomes larger and larger and larger, and then civil discussion just gets completely thrown out the window, right? So it's kind of what it is similar to what is happening in the US right now. Like you can see that the Republicans are throwing shade at the Democrats for stuff that they have no control over, and vice versa.
Yeah,
it's like talking about like police brutality, for example, right? It is his job to do that, right? But he's only been in control for a few months. How is he going to solve it?
Yeah,
it's kind of a difficult thing to solve. It's something that is already there. You just need to reduce it. And people just pinpoint on one event that happened instead of focusing on the broader range of things, right? I'm not talking about like police brutality in the US, for example. I'm just talking in general. Right? How like the Republicans were complaining about like no, the Democrats were complaining about coronavirus cases when Trump was in the office, and now the opposite is happening exactly. It's like you can see Fox News is right now is complaining about the coronavirus numbers, right? It's kind of funny, isn't it? It's kind of ironic, and this division is what kind of creates this. Instead of civil discussion, it moves to civil conflict, and then it moves to civil war. It's kind of has to follow in these footsteps.
And as you mentioned, the economy, if a large part of your proportion of your population is not vaccinated, they end up spending more money on tests, masks, the self-test kits, for example, or the PCR tests, because you need those. It is a big source of income right now. And I mean, as you said 30%, as Ethan said, 30% of the country isn't populated. So you have 30% of those people paying, and 30% of 88 million is, a lot of, people. And if you need to test every day, if for say, if you buy a test, you the government ends up making a lot of money through taxes and all of this stuff. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, you have advantages and disadvantages.
But see, the only problem I have with this is how is this going to continue after the coronavirus? I think it's a pretty important question to ask, right? Like after almost everyone's vaccinated, are people going to still buy tests? Are people going to still wear masks? Like for most people right now, a mask is like a comfort zone.
Yeah, many people.
Yeah, I'm kind of used to it by now. Like sometimes I wear my mask in the car for no reason, even though there's
sometimes it's like part of your life. You don't realize you still have it on.
You don't realize it.
When you leave your house, it's the first thing you take, instead of your phone, maybe.
Yeah, so if they remove the mask mandate, are people gonna still wear masks?
Exactly.
It's a fashion statement.
So yeah, some people say it's a fashion statement.
Yeah. You should get those colorful masks with the sparkles on them.
But surveys still show that a lot of German citizens still would vote for the vaccine mandate. They'd still like the mandate to be there. But it's very certain parties, such as the right-wing parties, that are mainly against it. For people or citizens who are on the right wing, such as the AfD, which is the racist party here in Germany. They're against the vaccine mandate. So it's a very difficult balance to get right.
And sometimes they have to kind of like say to their public or to their like supporters that you shouldn't get vaccinated just because they want to hear that, that part of the population wants to hear it. And we saw this case in America when I think Trump believed in the vaccine. He wanted people to get vaccinated. But in the beginning, he still had to say, don't get vaccinated. It's not important. You don't need to wear masks. But you kind of saw a shift towards the end, He started saying, get vaccinated, wear masks. And when he said that, he used to get boos from the crowd. So it's difficult for them, but end of the day, they have to choose what's right and kind of advocate that to their supporters, because that's how it will spread.
Yeah, but another reason that they would do this is to undermine the political party in power at the moment, because a political party in power favors the left side rather than the right side. Like I said, it goes both ways. Like if the right wing tried to pass the vaccine mandate, the left wing would say no, just to undermine it, because they've been pushing it from the start. It's kind of to show the people that they like. Both of you said, so it kind of shows people that you should not trust anything they say. Kind of shows that they're uncredible, which I think almost happens every single time someone comes in power. It's just the nature of politics. Let's just say that.
Yeah. So all together, let me just sum it up so we can start with our second discussion. It causes a lot of social problems, such mandates or these votes, but that's where the country has to decide, or like government has to decide, if they want to kind of help the economy or help the health of the country or the population. So it's a tough decision to make, and sometimes one side comes on top and one doesn't. So I think it'll be an ongoing topic, for countless years, because you'll always have new diseases or new vaccines, Okay. So I'll start with my second topic. So I chose the situation that is happening in Pakistan right now with their ex-prime minister now, because he got impeached, as you say, because of the no confidence movement. So he's not the prime minister anymore. And it ended today, actually. So it's very recent. And this is because of, many days of constitutional chaos that left him with no choice but to resign or be voted out of the office. But in the end, the Supreme Court and the members of the Supreme Court decided to vote him out. So in the no confidence motion, out of 342 seat parliament members, they needed 172 votes to kind of impeach him. And they were able to do that as they got 174. And I mean, there's many reasons to why it happened. There's like many external factors and many internal factors of his party as well. So he's from the PTI party, and the party had lost the support of their allies, or like their not friends, but they're like, yeah, they're allies. So they kind of did not help them in the parliament, and they denied him the majority of the vote he needed to stay the prime minister. So that was one of the internal factors. But external, there was a big like economic crisis happening that was contributing to the dislike of him being the prime minister, because he was making some bad decisions, making bad kind of friends, and like because he clearly said he's supporting Russia, and because of that he lost his ties with US. And that's why he also kind of blamed this on the United States, saying that they are working together with the opposition members, or like the government, to kick him out. And yeah, he also lost his support with the military, which is a big thing, because the military in Pakistan kind of helps you a lot to become the prime minister or be in power, because it's really strong. So, I mean, stuff like this happening with politics and like people getting impeached, we see it many times, many different countries. Trump had a impeachment day, but I don't think he got impeached because he made it out safely. He didn't get it didn't get enough votes. This also happened with the Prime Minister of India before, but again, he had no, like, there wasn't even a chance he was gonna get impeached, because I mean, when they did the votes, almost nobody voted for him to get impeached except the extremists, who weren't supporting him. So I mean, this has many impacts, like, the government, if a government changes so quickly and so rapidly without any like election or so, the policies can change quickly and suddenly. The direction where the country is going might change due to the new rules. And we kind of saw this example with COVID-19 in America, where when Trump was the president, when he was the president, he didn't impose that many rules of like, you need to get vaccinated, you need to get tested to be indoors somewhere, you need a mask, social distancing everywhere. But when Biden came, all of these rules changed. And this has a big impact on the economy as well, because if you put a rule, you need masks, the public will spend money on masks, the government earns money, but the public also, they have to spend a lot of money on masks, which they might not like. I recently remember I think there's a drunk German guy on a train who was complaining about the masks and how expensive they are, and that he has to buy one every day. So it is a problem. Yeah, and it's like causes unrest in the country, which causes social problems. There will be a lot of disagreements, debates, and stuff, and it can also affect the finances of a country, since not always, but sometimes the tax policies can change, and the new prime ministers or the new governments can be very unpredictable, and you never know what's going to happen. Do you guys have any like impacts? What can happen or so? Yeah.
So if we're talking like logistically speaking, standing with Russia would have supplied Pakistan with cheaper fuels, which is an issue that we're all going through right now, especially here in Germany. And if you know, but there's been quite the fuel shortage in the world because of this war. So if he gets discounted fuels for his country, that's a positive thing, right?
Yeah.
But the main thing he didn't focus on is that most of his power comes from the West instead of it coming from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So it was quite the maneuver, let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like it's a very balanced decision.
Exactly.
Because if you remained impartial, you could have still gotten the fuels. It wouldn't have mattered. Like a country like China, for example, has not announced whether if it's with Russia or if it's
India
with Ukraine.
too.
Yeah, but we already know that they're getting the fuel for discounted price
Yeah,
without any
India.
of the consequences.
I think India has already made, or they're in the process of making a deal of like very cheap fuel. You know, it's like very cheap.
Mhm.
It's about 20-30% cheaper.
Yeah. So this war has like, given prosperity to other countries if they play correctly. Except Pakistan didn't, or the prime minister didn't, which is then backfired on him. Even his own political party, does not want. That's a pretty big thing to say, right? Because if the people that helped me get in want me out, that means that I have definitely done something wrong. And there may have been something that he did we don't know of, but I really wanted to focus on that because it seemed like a nice tension to start off with. Yeah.
And like we saw that a loss in support can lead to a lot of things, because he lost his support with the military, with the different parties and the government, the different groups, you know, cause I mean it's big change, because even someone like him is not able to win, because he's a really popular figure in Pakistan. Because I don't know, I mean you guys don't know, but he used to be a cricketer. He's an ex-cricketer and he was the captain. So he won the World Cup with the team. So that's why he has like so many fans. But when he was a cricketer, he used to do a lot of charitable stuff. He opened the biggest cancer hospital in the world, I think, because his mom had cancer. So he wanted to do something for cancer, against cancer. So we see it a lot, the politics affecting you. Yes.
But there's also something that I wanted to highlight. You just mentioned quickly that hold on, sorry. You mentioned quickly that he lost support of the military, which is kind of a big thing to lose, because if you lose support of the military, it means you totally lost control of your country. Because the military is the one thing where you can give it orders and it just does. But if you even lose support of that, that means that you definitely done something horribly wrong that we may not know of, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen this happen like in many countries. For example, in Egypt, to mention one, we had our first democratically elected president, who was then just later removed by the military because he was doing some stuff that has now been leaked. It was just leaked. Like, yeah, he was basically like, it was him and our current president, and then the Minister of Defense in the same room, and they were talking, right? And then he threatened them with the terrorist forces that are going to start a civil war inside of the country if they don't do what he says. So if you kind of do something, he may have done something like that. I'm not saying he did. It just means that he's done something maybe on that level, because even the military has turned his mark on him. So there may be even if it's the smallest chance that he's done something like that, but he may have not been benefiting the country economically and or politically, and he may have also damaged some of the relations.
And one interesting fact, I didn't know this. When I researched, I found out since the independence of Pakistan in 1947, no Pakistani prime minister has completed a full 5-year term in the office in the country. So can you guys hear me? Because my
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, so that's a bit crazy, and you can kind of see and draw parallels to how important allies are and how important the support within the country. It's not even outside the country, but within the country. Because I'm sure if someone had full support, there wouldn't have been such problems. Because even if there's a no confidence motion, you won't get enough votes against you to kind of impeach you. So I mean, and politics can lead to a lot of things that can affect the economy, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'd end that topic there. Thank you guys for coming, and thank you very much.